This is Business LO, a podcast by the Lake Oswego Chamber of Commerce, which connects, educates, advocates, and champions our business community. We have nearly 500 members from international corporations to home-based businesses, and we serve them all. Each episode of Business LO gives insider information to the local business community and the neighbors who support them. And now, let's talk Business LO.
Today is April 22nd, 2025, Earth Day, and this episode will be publishing on May 1st, and it's all about print media. We have the most obvious guest to discuss this topic, Brian Monihan, Vice President and Group Publisher of Carpenter Media Group and fellow chamber member. We're here today with Heather Graves Ramsey, owner of Coach to Brilliance. She specializes in executive coaching and leadership development. And of course, Chamber CEO Liz Hartman will share all the insider information we need to know with What You Need to Know in LO. I'm Michelle Odell, and let's open up the discussion. Print still pays. Advertising smart in your local paper. And Heather, it's your turn.
I get to take it away. I get to have a conversation with Brian, which this is really exciting. Thank you, Brian.
Well, I'm so lucky. Thank you, Heather and Michelle.
We're really glad to have you and really glad to learn more, because I think print is something that people either have misconceptions about or aren't sure about. And so I love that you're spending time with us today to help us understand a little bit more about print and what you're about and how we might best utilize it as a business here in Lake Oswego.
Absolutely.
So first fabulous question is just a little bit of an understanding of what's the demographic in LO?
We get that question a lot when we talk to our clients and they're asking questions about, who do you reach? And so Lake Oswego is, as we know, a wonderful community-operated newspaper, and it's actually the perfect newspaper community because it's our audience. And typically people think that who reads newspapers? Well, it does skew to people who are typically 40 and over. But in terms of Lake Oswego itself, the average age in Lake Oswego is 46. It has a household income of about $127,000 and home ownership is about 71%. What's different about the reviews readership compared to the Lake Oswego demographic is that the average age of our readers skews a little older, 48 to 52, that's the average. But household income, because we're a subscriber-based newspaper, state demographics show that we skew 10 to 15% higher in household income. So if the average household income in Lake Oswego is $127,000, we are skewing closer to 140 to 145 because you're reaching, from an advertising standpoint, you're reaching a better, higher quality audience because, again, they're subscribing to the local paper. They care about what's happening in their community. They're paying to get it because they want to read the news. And what's a little different about that is on digital, you're just scrolling, you're finding whatever you want to find. But the amount of time people spend actually reading it compared to what they would do with the newspaper is different because it's two different functions. In the newspaper, you're reading it cover to cover. You're surprised at what you might find on any given page. While digitally, you're searching for something specific. What's the score of the game? When is that Easter egg hunt over at the Hunt Club this Saturday? Those kind of things. So it's a little different. That's a big part of, again, trying to explain the demographics between just the regular population and then our subscriber
what
base.
What they're doing, right? When it goes into print, is it also online?
Yes. And so what typically happens, just so you guys understand the format, digital is meant to be immediate. So we're typically trying to write multiple stories every single day and posting them to the website. And then also, it's a different reading experience because, again, online, you're searching for content, and we need the daily news on the website to feed our newsletter and make sure there's something fresh and giving people a reason to come to the website every week. But in print, it's a different reading experience in terms of you have the bigger pictures. Again, it's a surprise on every page because you don't know what you're going to find. You might turn the page and, oh, there's a picture of Liz. Oh, there's a picture of Heather at the awards banquet. Or, hey, there's my neighbor who's on the football team or are running track. It's a different experience. And so people will typically, I hear it all the time, hey, Brian, my favorite part of the week is Saturday morning when I sit down with a cup of coffee and I take 45 minutes to an hour to read the Lake Oswego Review cover to cover. And, I did it last night with Beaver baseball because I went to Oregon State. I wanted to check the score, so I'm just quickly looking at the score, see how they did, and I was off. But that's all I looked for. So again, it's right. In terms of your original question, does all print go online? Yes, it does. But
we experience it differently.
Exactly. And the other part of it, too, is our daily newsletter. I've heard people tell me, Brian, I don't need to get the newspaper anymore because I get your daily newsletter. And it's like, well, the newsletter only has maybe 5 to 10 stories on it. There's probably 50 to 60 stories in the newspaper every week. So when you're only looking at the newsletter, you might miss it one day, you're missing half the stories that we might produce.
Right.
So that's the other part about, again, why it's important for people to get their news in multiple places.
And I love the multiple places, right? Because there are some people who, like me, who I love getting the e-newsletter. And for me to just have the tidbits and be able to click and go and find out more, that resonates for me. My husband loves the newspaper, right? So you've got different folks that are doing it in different ways. But I do think that there was a perception for many of us that if I am advertising in print or if I'm doing that is the only option. And I remember you getting up one day and being like, print is also, it's also online. So that is an important thing for people to understand, that you cover both. And however people are experiencing it or want to experience it, they have that option.
Well, and that kind of feeds both two parts. From our goal as being the local newspaper is we want to be the best source for local news in the community. And to do that, we have to reach the community in many different ways. And so when an advertiser comes to me and says, hey, Brian, I want to advertise with you, what's the best way to do it? It's doing a combination of print, digital, and social media to reach the most people. And we do that with our news products too. We need to get the news out through the newspaper, through the website, through our social media stream, through our newsletter. Because again, as you pointed out, you have a different reading habit compared to your husband. And again, our goal is to try to have the biggest megaphone to reach the most people in the community, and we do it with all those different tactics. And so it comes back to reach and frequency. That's the secret to getting our news out, but also our secret to helping our advertisers get the best response to their advertising.
So why is it important for us to keep local journalism alive?
From a readership standpoint, the print wasn't there. What are you going to have in your scrapbooks? What are you going to put on your refrigerator? I just came back from Moore's Coffee Shop, and they were telling me, hey, it's our 4-year anniversary today. And I said, I remember the story we ran in about your business in the Lake Oswego Review. You're not going to be able to pull it up on Facebook from 4 years ago. Right. I think about the communities that don't have a local newspaper, and when their high school has graduation and there's no coverage of it in the paper, there's not a list of all the kids who graduated. I think about it from the standpoint of a team that wins a state championship, or the Chamber's a perfect example. Who provided all the coverage for the awards, community awards, leading up to it, celebrating it with a news story, and then the special section that we did just recently to highlight all those people. If it wasn't the print product to actually preserve those memories and give you a physical product to hold, again, that's just lost.
It's holding our memories. It's holding our history. It's something that will remain afterwards. And then also you've mentioned before just about how, having journalists there, having journalists at City Hall, having journalists at the school board meeting. What's so important about that? I can assume, but I'd love to hear.
The important part of that is you have an actual paid and trained journalist covering what's happening in your community. And the thing about digital, you see it all the time. People are posting things all the time. I see it with our own stories. People just click on something because they think they know what it is, but they don't read it. The nice part about print is it gives the reader a chance to go in depth, to read the story, to understand really what's happening. And people on the digital side, I know people read through the stories, but if you're paying for it, but a lot of times people just read the headline and think they know it. And we got in trouble a couple of weeks ago with a story we were writing where people took a headline the wrong way and assumed the story went that same direction, but wasn't the case at all. And if they just read the story, it wouldn't have been an issue. But because they read the headline only and didn't take the time to understand what the story was about, it blew up on social media and caused all kinds of problems at City Hall, and I heard all about it. So
I bet you did. I think there's a lot more of us who want to dig in and want to really find out what's real, because we are so fed up with, different news bits that are coming out that are not backed up, that are not real. And so when I hear you say, we've got a journalist there, somebody who's trained, somebody who's reporting, somebody who's putting out there the facts rather than the opinions or just a quick soundbite.
Well, yeah, and the other part of that too is that based on everything that's going on in the world today, it's kind of scary to watch national news, your daily news, your CNNs, your Foxes. your blood pressure typically goes through the roof for most people when they're watching that kind of stuff. My hope is that with the community paper, we're going to carry whatever the big news is, but it's all that other news that's important and critical to the community, like the feature stories about local people. We're working on our Amazing Kids section right now, which is so inspiring to see 30 plus stories of kids who are making a difference in these communities. That's good news. It makes you feel good. It inspires you. It shows you that there's hope for the future. Those stories would not exist without a print product. Same with local sports, celebrating those successes. I mean, my news guys are going crazy on the fact that there's so many robotics teams from Westland, Lake Oswego, Lake Ridge who are doing so well. And again, who's going to cover the robotics team when they go to state or nationals? Right. So it's, again, those kind of stories I love to do. That's the fun part of my job, to interview people. Everybody's got a story to tell. When you're able to share that, it creates community. It gets people working closer together. It makes you feel good about where you live and why you live there. And, I always tell people, if there's any survey that comes out that says Lake Oswego is best at whatever, it goes crazy on our websites and in our newspapers, because people love to think that they live in the most awesome community in the world, which we do.
Which we do. Which we do. Yeah. You've mentioned a lot around like the local pieces. What's a success story of something that has been in print?
We get that a lot from advertisers, and that's where the whole story comes in. I've heard this my whole career, where people say, hey, Brian, you guys did a story about my business, and I got all kinds of people coming in wanting to ask questions, and I did a lot of business off of it, but I don't want to advertise. And I'm like, well, if they read your story in print, it's just an ad in the paper. If it's a good ad, it has a good offer, it's going to work. So success really just comes down to, what the offer is. And, some of the local successes, you got Dan Brown, Farmers Insurance. He signed up with a full program, print, digital, social media, but he's got his picture in the paper every single week. And he told us at a board meeting he can't go anywhere in town with his family because everybody's coming up to him because they think they know him. I run into that problem because we run the staff boxes in all our newspapers. And so I go around and people come up to me all the time in the grocery store, at school. I can tell they know who I am, and they talk to me like they know me. My wife goes, who's that person you're talking to? I go, I have no idea. But they see my picture in the paper. I think that's what's different about the print product is you look for people you know. That's the number one thing people always look at. And then if you have people into business with people that they think they know and like. And so having your picture in the paper every week helps achieve that, because that's the first thing that people look at when they go through the paper. Then they read the headline, then the subhead, and the first two paragraphs of the story, and then probably that's it. But again, in terms of successes, it's just building that familiarity. We've had a couple other folks who are doing not just print, but a combination of print, digital, and social media. And it doesn't happen overnight. People always say, well, Brian, I ran an ad. Why didn't I get a response? And it's like anything else. I go to the gym and worked out one time, but I don't know why I don't look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You have to be consistent about it every day, every week, and builds over time. We have a product we do called Insiders, where people are like the local experts. And so Lance's Auto Body out of Wilsonville, he's been doing that for 10 plus years, and he wouldn't be doing that if it wasn't working, where he has a column in his photo. But one of my favorite print success stories, when I was the publisher in Forest Grove, I had an appliance store. I would have the owner of the appliance store bring his niece and nephew in, and we would take pictures of his niece and nephew in the store, goofing around on a washer, a dryer, a big TV. And that was like the main anchor of their ad with the other things that were for sale. And they said, like anything else, hey, Brian, I was at the grocery store this week, or I was at church this week, and everybody stopped to talk to me about how cute the kids are. And they think they're my kids, but they're my sister's kids. But again, it's, creating that fun part about why do you look at the newspaper? Because you want to see if your name's in there. You want to see who you know. And that's why I got in the business, because I remember very clearly, 7th grade baseball at state playoffs. I walked in a run because I got walked at first and the bases were loaded, and I was crazy to find my name in the Valley Times. And I waited for 2 weeks to see that, and there's my name, totally spelled wrong, but I made it in the paper. So again, yeah, there's a lot of those kind of things. To me, it's called refrigerator journalism or scrapbook journalism.
But also repetition.
Yes.
Repetition is the mother of all learning. And if I am a new business, what would you recommend for someone that has their new business and they're looking to advertise? What kind of print campaign would you recommend?
A lot of it depends on the type of business they are. So if they're service-oriented, it really comes down to just getting your name out there. So when the time comes, like a Dan Brown, that you need to buy that, you're top of mind. If you're a retailer and you're trying to sell a product, there's two different ways you can go. You can play the discount game like you do in a coupon publication, and you have to give it away for 50% to try to get people to come in. And, you can build a business that way, but you can only live for so long giving away 50% of whatever you're trying to sell. The better option is to create awareness based on what's unique and different about your business. So if you're a retailer, it would be what's new, what do I have to offer? Sometimes in our products, when we do kind of gift guides, I know if we come up with some kind of quirky, weird gift for the Christmas time or for whatever the holidays might be, we publicize it that way in the paper, I know that store is going to get a run on them because it just happens all the time. So again, being able to highlight what you have that nobody else has, that's going to drive that awareness. So when I started in the business, it was you had to see an ad 7 times before you responded. Now it's you have to see it at least 32 times because that's how many impressions you're getting bombarded with every single day with mass media. It's not about which one works, it's what they collectively all work together and how they feed off one another. And the unfortunate thing for me is I can do everything right in terms of our marketing. We get the message out there. And if at the very last second, the person just says, oh, I read about this in the review, and then they decide to go Google it online to learn more about the business, who gets the credit for that? Google. Yeah. And I did all the work. That's typical of Google for stealing our content and all our sales. Not a fan.
And at the same time, it's like marketing is this nebulous cloud for most people, and they don't know how it happens, but it really is magic and it is important. And something that was just coming up for me too, Brian, is especially with the climate right now, I think a lot of people are shutting down on the electronic, and local is a place that they're focusing. And print is a place that they're focusing because they can control the things that are popping up in between that they just do or don't want to see. And that's something that's really important. And we're glad that you're here to be able to help out with that, because I do think that blood pressure piece that you mentioned before is super important. So.
Yeah, print is coming back in style as something hip and different. And there's been such a pendulum swing to digital. Now people are like, well, I want to be a little different about stuff.
If I'm an existing business and I am looking to run a print campaign, is there anything I should consider that's different if I'm new to the community?
It really comes back to, where your business is at. So if you have a good business, part of it might just be, hey, we want to have a maintenance campaign. We want to just create some general awareness, make people know that we're thankful for their business and we're still here. And why is that important? You don't want your competitors to come in and take those clients away from you because you're not marketing to them. There's always somebody trying to take your clients away from you. So at the very base level, it could just be a maintenance campaign. If you wanted to be more of a step it up one notch, then that's where it's more than just having your picture in the paper, but you're trying to offer incentives for people to come to your business. And that might be a little more of a mix of print, heavier on the digital with some email marketing, but you're being more proactive. And then you've always got those people who, what we call, they want to dominate. And what does it mean to dominate? It means like, I want to be the realtor in Lake Oswego. And how do I be the realtor in Lake Oswego? That means you should be running a half or a full page every week. That means you should have a full page in LA Monthly. You should be hitting it hard in every place. So you are the go-to only one people think of. And so it depends on what you want to do with your business. If you would be considered top dog in your community, you can do that. You've taken a regular campaign and you put it on steroids. It works.
Yeah, it does. I feel like you also do a lot of consulting. Just in what you were just saying here, it's you. And tell us a little bit about like the consultative part of this. I feel like you and Kelli.lair and probably others on the team are really taking the approach from a perspective of who's this business? What do they need? What's going to be best for them? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Having done this for so many years, I see a lot of businesses come and go, and we want them all to be successful. And we know if we can help them and coach them to be successful, then they will stay in business longer. And because we help them do that, they will be more supportive of what we do. And so it's kind of like, when we all collectively work together, we all do better. It makes us feel really good from a marketing standpoint to know that people come to us and say, Brian, you did this campaign for us and we sold out. Or I can think back to, again, Van Dyke Appliances, where I come in after a weekend and say, how did it go this weekend, Pete? And he said, I sold $50,000 worth of air conditioners this past weekend thanks to this campaign you guys put together for me. That makes us feel good about what we do. That gives you the little tinglies, up and down your arms when you know that you help somebody and you help their business grow. That's the cool part about being in a small town, because we want to feel good about what we do. We want to have pride in helping others, and it means more to us because it's our name on the paper. If we take advantage of somebody, we're going to see them at church, we're going to see them at chamber, and it's just going to blow up in our face. We live here, we work here. It just means more to us, which is why it's so important for us to support everybody. And as a newspaper, why we try to be sponsors of almost everything in town in some capacity.
And you really do. You're everywhere. Between you and Kelly and the team, it's like they're out there on the ground with us. And that's what makes Lake Oswego, even though it's big, it makes it feel smaller. And thank you for your commitment to that. I appreciate the work that you do in the chamber, but also just in the community in general with LO Reads, with all the different sports areas. I mean, I really think you are committed.
Again, that goes back to wanting to serve a community that cares so much. So that makes it fun.
Well, is there anything else that would be important for our listeners to consider or think about?
I just think it comes back to what I always tell people. If they value local journalism, it comes at a price. And the most important way that you can support that is by both subscribing and by advertising. By doing that, you're investing in your community that we're going to turn around and invest that right back into our coverage.
Yes, this community is amazing, and we have to give to it. We have to give our time, but also our treasure and our resources to it. And so really taking that into consideration is one of those arms of places that we should be supporting, and local is where it's at. So we really appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate the chamber asking me to be part of this. It all works together. And having been on the chamber board for so many years, it's so exciting to see where the chamber is now and how well it's doing. We need to make sure it continues to do that. And it takes everybody working collectively together, because there's going to be highs and lows, and you just got to power through that, because it's all going to work out in the end. Yeah.
Absolutely. Do it together. Well, thank you again, Brian, for your time and your energy.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Brian. So Liz is going to let us know what's going on around town, the insider information with what you need to know in LO. What's going on, Liz?
The most exciting thing for May is the upcoming Wine Walk. This is the second time we have had Oregon Wine Walk over on Boones Ferry Road. It's on Saturday, May 10th, 2 to 5 p.m. And if you don't have advance tickets, you really should get advance tickets. But if you don't, you can buy them on site. Registration this year will be at the Directors Building, 4550 Southwest Cruise Way. We have shuttles, and it will run the full length of Boones Ferry Road. The $50 registration fee will get you 12 1-ounce pours and delicious bites at every single one of the 28 participating stores and restaurants. And we have some wonderful new locations that are joining us this year. Zupans is planning to roll out the red carpet, and we have a fabulous title sponsor, Willamette Cascade Wealth Management. And this is the time, if you're a business that wants to march in the 4th of July parade, you need to put your application in now. Just go to the City of Lake Oswego website and look up Parks and Recreation. If you don't sign up as your own business, you are welcome to join the Chamber of Commerce on the 4th of July. Join us at the loading area at 9 a.m. The parade starts at 10 a.m. And the 4th of July does bring in 5,000 to 7,000 people just for the parade alone, and the pancake breakfast guarantees 2,000 to 3,000 people. That's sponsored by the Lions Club. May 21st is the third Thursday. This month, we will have 20 businesses that are participating, many of them with special artists, many of them with specials for the customers.
How do I know which businesses are a part of Third Thursday?
Go to www.lakeoswegochamber.com and go to our events calendar. Let me tell you a few of our members who are participating in May. That would be Adorn and the Arts Council. Wisers is always a participant, and Our Blooms may have something special, and that is the one place to start this next month. Mad Sass Soap Company will be participating. That's over in the Windward Building, as well as Maple Boutique, and everybody always enjoys going to Maple, running around the corner to Grapevine, and stopping off at City Home. And many of these businesses will have appetizers. Some of them will have wine tasting, and nearly all of them will have a surprise for you when you walk in the door.
And last month I noticed we had little flags outside.
Yes, those are the flags that you see when we have a wine walk, but we decided that it might be a great way to identify which businesses are having specials for Third Thursday. We'd also like businesses to watch the newsletter. We have some surveys coming up, and one of the ones you may see is the transportation survey. We would like to know how some of the options that the legislature is looking at would affect you as a business, or how you think they may affect your employees. So as the legislature goes on, you may see occasional surveys so that we will be able to work with the Government Affairs Committee and see if there are things that the Lake Oswego Chamber should be weighing in on. And if we don't know how legislation may affect our businesses, we can't weigh in with legislators, just like we can't weigh in with city council. So it does help when people let us know what they're thinking.
What should businesses be ready for? Are there any big events coming up where a lot of people are going to be in town?
Then absolutely. That's Lake Ridge graduation, and that is on June 5th. And then the Lake Oswego High School graduation is on June 6th. There are generally 300 in each of these graduating classes, so that's 300 families that may have people come into town needing to do a little bit of shopping and definitely hitting the restaurants. Let me just throw in two more things.
Okay.
Pet Evolution is going to have a ribbon cutting Friday, May 2nd. It will be at 4 o'clock, and they're in that little shopping mall across from Dick's Sporting Goods. The second ribbon cutting will be on Tuesday, May 27th at 3 p.m. It's the new mom school, and they are plugging into the community really quickly. They are officially opening at the first part of May, and they're doing a ribbon cutting on their very first day at 3 p.m. on May 27th.
Well, thank you, ladies, once again for an amazing episode of Business LO. And remember, every day is a Chamber of Commerce Day here in Lake Oswego.
The Lake Oswego Chamber of Commerce thanks you for listening to Business LO. We would love to have you as a member so you can help Lake Oswego continue to be one of the best places to live, work, and play. If you want to share an idea for a future episode or become a member, visit us at lakeoswegochamber.com, and please like and follow us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And for help with your business podcast, go to modcastproductions.com.